What's up, everyone, and welcome to the old school review right here on the Slam Sessions on YouTube. Now, usually when I do these shows, I review shows that I actually attended. But because I had a request this week from one of my viewers, I decided that I'd stray a little bit and give my viewers what they want. So, Nick, this one's for you. Today, I'll be reviewing WCW Starrcade 1992, which was live in the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. This is actually a famous pay-per-view for a couple of different reasons. This is the second ever Battle Bowl. This is the last pay-per-view that Jim Ross was ever on. And this is one of the, if not one of, the first ever pay-per-view that Jesse the Body Ventura did color commentary for on WCW. Now, I know that doesn't seem like there's a lot of history behind that kind of stuff, but it's actually a pretty big pay-per-view when you get to think about it. And quite honestly, when Nick asked me to cover this, I said, okay, let me give this a shot. And I wasn't expecting much because I figured 1992 WCW means no Ric Flair, no Arn Anderson. I know this, Sting and Vader are probably their top guys, but what is they going to have to offer? What I forgot about was that this is when WCW started a talent trade with Japan, and they were able to secure some of the bigger names in Japan to come over and work WCW pay-per-views. On this pay-per-view, there was a major influence of that. But let's start from the beginning, right? The first major thing about this show was the fact that the WCW World Title match was actually supposed to be the champion Ron Simmons going one-on-one with ravishing Rick Rude. The fact is that Rick Rude actually got hurt, and because of that, had to pull out of the contest. Rick Rude at the time was also the WCW United States champion. In his place, Dr. Death Steve Williams stepped in. The show opened with the 4 qualifying matches for Battle Bowl. Now, these are all in tag team format, and the winners would go on to a Battle Royal at the end of the night, and that winner would be Battle Bowl champion and win a Battle Bowl ring. When the show started, Sting was presented with his Battle Bowl ring from the year before, the first ever Battle Bowl, and Sting promised to try his best to repeat. The opening match was Heavy Metal Van Hammer and Dangerous Dan Spivey versus Johnny B. Bad and Cactus Jack. This match was a good standard tag team match. It actually showed that both of these teams got along well enough, even though it was the babyface and heel dynamic on both sides. The match ended when Johnny B. Bad accidentally elbow dropped Cactus Jack. Cactus got in his face afterwards, and Johnny B. Bad hit him with a straight shot to the face, and Van Hammer rolled Cactus up for the 1-2-3, which meant that Van Hammer and Dan Spivey would go on to the Battle Bowl Battle Royal. The next qualifying match was Dustin Rhodes and Vader versus the Barbarian and Kensuke Sasaki. The match was really hard-hitting, and this was very young in Dustin Rhodes' career. Dustin looked great in this match. The big problem I had with this match was the finish. There was another situation where Barbarian accidentally hit Sasaki, and Dustin rolled Barbarian up for the 3. I'm not crazy about 2 finishes in a row being exactly the same, but the match was good, and Vader clobbered Dustin at the end of the match, showing that there are no friends in the Battle Bowl Battle Royal. The third qualifying match was Barry Windham and the Great Muta versus Brian Pillman and Too Cold Scorpio. The irony in this match is that later on in the night, Barry Windham and Brian Pillman would challenge for the World Tag Team titles, but they were on opposite sides of the ring in this match. This was one of the better matches out of the entire Battle Bowl format. Barry Windham looked great in there as the big man. And Too Cold Scorpio, Brian Pillman, and the Great Muta showed that they were so far advanced as high flyers at that time. They were doing things that we now see as normal in this day and age, but back at that time was absolutely outrageous. The Great Muta showed he was one of the best workers in the business at that time, and his exchanges with Too Cold Scorpio and Brian Pillman were fantastic. Too Cold Scorpio showed his athleticism by slingshotting into the ring and turning around into almost a 450 splash, only getting a 2 count, but the match ended when Barry Windham lifted Too Cold Scorpio up and crushed him with an Impaler DDT, and the Great Muta hit the moonsault for the win. The next match was the finals of the tag team part of Battle Bowl. It was Dr. Death Steve Williams and Sting versus the rookie Eric Watts and Jushin Thunder Liger. Eric Watts didn't deserve to be in this spot, and I think we all know why he was. His dad, Cowboy Bill Watts, was booking the show, but you can definitely see how green he was, as he was in there with some of the best wrestlers in the world. By and far, Sting was the most over character on this show, getting the biggest and loudest applause when he came out. And Dr. Death Steve Williams was a beast, and you forget just how good he was in his prime. Dr. Death picked up the victory for his team with the stun gun on Eric Watts, and that took Sting and Dr. Death to the Battle Bowl finals. But it wasn't the last time we would see either of them before that match. Advancing to Battle Bowl were Sting, Dr. Death Steve Williams, Barry Windham, the Great Muta, Van Hammer, Dangerous Danny Spivey, Vader, and Dustin Rhodes. The next match was the NWA World Heavyweight Championship match. This match was Masahiro Chono defending the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against the Great Muta, the first time that 2 Japanese wrestlers wrestled for the NWA Championship on American soil. Chono looked good, but he still looked like he was a little bit green, and kind of had a little bit of mistiming issues, but the Great Muta still looked excellent. Muta may be the most underrated wrestler in the United States ever. His offense was crisp, he was flying around, he can submit, he can grapple, he can do everything. His kicks were some of the most deadly in the business. The end came when the Great Muta tapped to the STF, and even though the Great Muta tapped out, he still looked like a star. But that only rose the level of Masahiro Chono. The next segment was that Rick Rude actually cut a promo, a very impassioned promo, showing why he was one of the best wrestlers in the world at that point, because WCW was going to strip him of his United States Championship because he wasn't able to defend it. This was another example of how they used a guy who was injured on the show to elevate himself even further. We would later find out that Rick Rude would be stripped of that championship, and Rude would go on to become the NWA World Heavyweight Champion and have a big feud with Ric Flair. The next match was the WCW Championship match, where Dr. Death Steve Williams challenged the champion Ron Simmons. This was Dr. Death's second match of the night, which gave Ron Simmons an advantage, something they really didn't bring up too much. In all honesty, though, they don't make wrestlers like Dr. Death anymore. These two beat each other and put on a great, hard-hitting contest. Dr. Death worked the body part for most of the match, which was great old-school wrestling. The finish, however, was a double countout, which seemed to be a little bit disappointing, but it definitely protected Steve Williams and Ron Simmons and made Steve Williams look like a guy who can challenge further down the road and have a good one-on-one match with Ron Simmons. Except for the fact that post-match, Dr. Death actually attacked Ron Simmons, they brawled, and they reversed the decision and disqualified Dr. Death, which made no sense because he attacked him when the match was over. That's the example of WCW overbooking their shows. The next match was the WCW World Tag Team title match, which saw the champions, Ricky Steamboat and Shane Douglas, take on challengers Barry Windham and Brian Pillman. Shane Douglas actually looked like $1 million in this match, doing a great job as a babyface in peril. Now, we all remember Shane Douglas as a heel from his ECW run, but he had a lot of fire as a babyface during this time, and he learned a lot from Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. You can really see the influence that Magnum TA had over Shane Douglas as well, using his belly-to-belly suplex as a finisher and winning the match for his team. This was more of a grudge match, as Barry Windham and Brian Pillman attacked both of these guys on TV with chairs at one point. And at one point during the match, Ricky Steamboat even hit Barry Windham in the back with a chair on the outside when the referee was distracted. A great tag team match, one of the best matches of the night. And to be completely honest, if you want to go back and see a great old school tag team wrestling match, go watch this one. This was a classic. The next match was the end of the King of the Cable tournament. There was a tournament that WCW ran on TV, and which was called the King of Cable. The finals came down to Sting and Vader. WCW really isn't known for their great entrance music, but man, they hit the nail on the head when it came to two guys in this era, and that was Sting and Big Van Vader. Their theme songs were absolutely perfect for their characters. Sting was just a hard-hitting, heavy guitar riff, and Vader just seemed like he was just going to come out and murder you, and the theme song kind of just fit. This match was unbelievable. Sting German suplex Vader, he slingshotted out to the floor on Vader and Harley Race, who fed like a champ, even at his age. And Sting even hit a middle rope DDT on Vader. The thing about this match is it's two guys that could really do it all. Vader can punch, he can kick, he can grapple, he used submissions, and he pounded Sting in the corner. But Sting had so much fire, and he came back and he won the match when he caught Vader coming off the top rope and turned it into a power slam, winning the King of the Cable trophy. The final match of this night was the Battle Bowl Battle Royal. This was really more of a standard Battle Royal. I think at that point, everybody kind of figured this was either going to be Vader, Steve Williams, or Sting coming out the victor. But in a really big twist, Vader and Sting eliminated each other, and the match actually came down to two guys who were tag team partners during the tournament, Barry Windham and the Great Muta. The Great Muta wound up winning and celebrated with his own Battle Bowl ring. This was a big push for the Great Muta, and we'd see Muta go on in the future to have great matches against guys like Sting and Ric Flair. Overall, this was a very good pay-per-view. I forgot that I really actually like the Battle Bowl concept, and it's something that I'd actually like to see the WWE or AEW bring back, being that AEW is run by Cody Rhodes, and this was Dusty's idea. This show proved that WCW could actually put on a good show, and they didn't need guys like Ric Flair or Arn Anderson in order to do it. They pushed younger talent, they showcased everyone that they had, and even though a lot of those guys wrestled 2 or 3 times in the same night, it really kept your interest. This pay-per-view was a pleasure to watch, and I have to thank Nick again for suggesting this. And if you guys have any suggestions, do what Nick did, facebook.com/the Slam Sessions Podcast Network, and hit me up on there and suggest something for me to do, and I'll do it just like I did this one. Until next time, this is Albert Albanese for the Slam Sessions. We'll see you soon.